And so in the 2 decades before Obamacare's passage, uninsurance was growing at a rapidly increasing rate in the country. Republicans have to be able to explain why that was happening. And by and large, Republicans didn't want to engage on the issue. They saw that there was a big problem out there. Democrats could see the problem and they proposed a big government solution, and Republicans said, let's change the subject. We shouldn't have done that. We should have said, actually, people are right and our neighbors are suffering. But the main reason for growing uninsurance in America wasn't increasing poverty. Obviously, there's some people who are poor and have a hard time getting insurance. We need to care about our neighbors. But there wasn't increasing poverty. And the main answer that people, man on the street, woman on the street, will give you is they think pre-existing medical conditions are why there was growing uninsurance in the country. It's absolutely not true. Again, that's a real problem, and I want to be able to speak to it. Mm-hmm. But there are about 4 million people in America that have pre-existing medical conditions that leave them hard to insure. There are 310 million Americans. 4 out of 310 million is 1.5%. You listen to President Obama, and most recently Vice President Biden says this falsehood all the time on the trail. He says that because of Obamacare, the 125 million Americans with pre-existing medical conditions can now get insurance. 125 million of us may have allergies, but if I've had 1 speeding ticket in my life, that doesn't mean I can't buy an Allstate or a State Farm policy. Mm-hmm. If I've had 17, then I got some issues. But that's a behavioral issue. That's a choice. But if I've had 1 speeding ticket, it doesn't make me auto uninsurable. And that's what they regularly conflate in the Obama administration. There are about 4 million people with medically difficult to insure issues. The main reason for growing uninsurance, the president never tells the truth about. It's because we have a more dynamic economy and people change jobs on average every 4th year now. In the 1970s or just prior to that, average duration at a firm was 26 years. Not necessarily in the same job, you may be promoted from job to job, but you stayed in the same firm for 26 years. Right now, most of the uninsurance in America is people who go through 2 to 6 months of uninsurance every 4th year while they're changing jobs. Well, guess what? That may be when you get the breast cancer diagnosis. That may be when you have the car wreck. Mm-hmm. Now you're medically uninsurable. We should be able to have a policy that goes with us across job and geographic change. And so that's why I rolled out the Anti-Obamacare Recovery Plan, a conservative blueprint for a healthier future, which deals with 4 major topics, but the one that I'll leave it at here and let you have the floor back. But the one here is families should be able to buy a policy that goes with them across job and geographic change if they want. That doesn't mean we're trying to disrupt the employer-sponsored market. For everybody who's 165 million people almost are insured in the employer-sponsored market, no need to disrupt that. But the tax break that big firms get, small firms and farms and ranches should get the same thing. They should be able to use pre-tax instead of after-tax dollars to buy their health insurance policy, and it shouldn't have to have a mandate that every coverage under the sun is included. If families want to buy a catastrophic plan for $2,000 and then they can renew it every year and take it with them for the rest of their life, they should have the freedom to do that. And we would then see a distinction between health insurance or health financing and health delivery that exists in every other insured sector except healthcare. There's a reason healthcare is so broken, and it's because the government's tax perversions lead people to try to collectivize the prepayment of everything. It is fundamentally irrational for me to buy health insurance that covers my contact lens purchases. I can tell you to the penny what I'm going to spend next year on contact lenses. It's kind of like Nebraska Avenue in York is not a federal, not a Florida issue. My contact lenses don't need to be medically insured against. It's just a direct expenditure. And if I recycle those payments through a health insurance company, I'm going to get lower quality. I'm going to have more bureaucratic runaround. I'm going to have higher costs. I'm going to have less convenience. I'm going to have worse customer service, et cetera, et cetera. It'd be just like if we wanted Allstate or State Farm to schedule our Jiffy Lube appointments and pay for our gas. Mm-hmm. Do you think Jiffy Lube will be open the right hours? Will be the right locations? Will the price be as cheap? No. And right now that's the perversion we have in healthcare. And it's that the federal government, again, because of bad government policy from the 1940s and 50s, created this world where we try to collectivize the prepayment of everything and we call it insurance because we're trying to take advantage of a tax loophole through our employer. It never made sense, but it makes so much less sense in a world where almost all job creation happens in the small firm space.